Hey, what's up you guys? It's the Curious Owl here, and I have another tag video here. So I was tagged in the Totally Should've book tag by my friend Becca over at Bookworm Becca. You guys can go check out her channel down below. I will leave a link in the description. And basically this is just a list of things that about books and authors that totally should have or should not have happened. So the first question is, totally should have gotten a sequel. And I'm saying this one because I don't know if it does have a sequel at this point. I heard rumors that there was going to be one, and that is The Merciless by Danielle Vega. The ending of this book was such a, not really a cliffhanger, but it was a ending that was like, oh my gosh, like there's gotta be a sequel to this, because the ending was just like suspenseful. It was a very suspenseful ending, and I really think, honestly, with as many people that read this book, like, I think there would be a high demand for another book by Danielle Vega in this storyline. So again, I don't know if that's actually like a thing. If she's already put out a new one, please tell me in the comments below if you know if she has already come out with a sequel to this. I had not heard about it, but I had heard rumors that she was thinking of making another book. The next one is totally should have had a spin-off series, and I am going to pick the Morganville Vampire series by Rachel Kane. The reason I picked this one is because one of the main characters, one of the big supporting characters, Mirnan, who is a very old vampire, I think needs to have a spin-off series, because he's got so much depth within him and so much history that I think if Rachel Kane was to write a spin-off series about his life and how he became a vampire and how exactly he met the two other characters, Amelia and what's his name? I can't remember his name. Oliver, I think. He was a really mean vampire in the story. I think his name was Oliver. But I think that if she was to make a series off of him, it would be really, really interesting, at least to me. I don't know how other people felt about Mirnan, if they've read this book or this series, and I just really, really think he should have his own spin-off series. The next is an author that totally should write more books, and I don't know this, again, this is something I don't really know if she's done any more books, but I'm going to pick Susan Nielsen, who wrote the book We Are All Made of Molecules. You guys can go check out my book review on this book up there. I think she really needs to write more books. This book itself was very easy to get into, and she really made a lot of the characters relatable, especially for kids that or young adults that are going through things like divorce or blending of families or having lost a parent, and even kids that are getting ready to start high school. I really think she is a good realistic fiction writer, and I really think she could do well with writing more books, either in this storyline or just writing more books in general. The next question is a character who should have totally ended up with someone else. And I know people might yell at me because she didn't actually end up with this guy, but I'm going to pick Clary being with Jace in the Mortal Instruments book. Now, I've only read the first one. You guys can go check out the book review I did on this book up here as well. I did not like the fact that she was being led towards being with Jace. She didn't actually end up being with Jace in the first book because she finds out something about him that is kind of like, yee, don't want to be with him. I don't like the fact that Cassandra Clare even made it possible for the two of them to get together, because he's such a jerk. Like, I love him so much as a character, but he is such a jerk to her, and I really don't think they would have ended up really well together if they didn't find out something about him. I honestly think she should have ended up with her best friend Simon, because he's a sweetheart and he's head over heels for her, and he does so much for her in this book that she doesn't even realize, and he's only a human, and he's trying to understand her world. So I really do not like the way Cassandra Clare wanted these two characters to be together in a sense. The next book is totally should have ended differently, and I'm going to pick The Sacred Veil, which is the fifth book in the third series by Christopher Pike. Now, if you guys watched my Birthstone book tag, which I will leave a link up here as well, I talked about this book being a book that made my blood boil. This is one of the only books I think that definitely needed a rewrite in the ending, because this was a book that took the history of the main character, who's a 5,000-year-old vampire, and did a really nice job with like bringing up to light some kind of bad event that she had blocked out of her memory. But the ending took some strange sci-fi intergalactic like time travel like ending that I did not understand why it was in there. I really think that they should have just ended it where it ended, and she would have gone through something to, I don't remember 100% what had happened right before this whole time travel thing happened. I just really think that this ending was awful and is not at all consistent with the rest of the series. Totally should have had a movie franchise, and I think some people will not be surprised by this, but I'm picking the Maximum Ride series by James Patterson. This is the second book, actually. I don't personally own the first one. I think my mom does, but this is the second book. This series needs to have a movie franchise. Point blank. This series of books is such a good action movie, and again, this can even be made into a TV show. Honestly, this series of books is really interesting because there's this dynamic change halfway through the series where they kind of just take this weird turn, and then there's another change where characters start leaving each other. I just really think that with everything that's in these books and all of the action and the drama that's in it, it would make a really good franchise. I don't think it will ever live up to what the Harry Potter franchise was, but I think it would do really, really well if someone was to write a well-done screenplay of it. The next book is totally should have had a TV show, and again, I'm going to go to the Morganville Vampire series by Rachel Kane. If any of you are my friends or family, I have talked about how this book needs to be a TV series ever since I started reading it. Honestly, this book series is incredible. I remember reading this when I first started reading this in high school, and I could just see in my head who I could pick to be different characters, where I would be with filming it. I pretty much feel like that if I was to ever be a TV show director, I would make this series into a TV show because the characters are so unique and they're so great. The plot lines really flow well together to where I think they could make a great TV show, probably on like the CW network or something, where there's like the Vampire Diaries and Reign and all of those other cool like action-y TV shows for young adults. I really think the series would do well on that station, and I think a lot of people would enjoy it and make them want to read the books because they're just incredible. Okay, next is totally should have had one point of view, and I don't really have a book for this because honestly, I don't read many books that have multiple points of view, and if I do, I really like the fact that they have multiple points of view because I like to see what other characters think. I know a lot of people would disagree with me that multiple points of view can be beneficial for some books. I just really like sometimes having a multiple point of view in some instances, and I guess I'm just getting lucky with finding books that have a good multiple points of view intermixed in there. The next question is totally should have a cover change, and again, I don't have a book for this because I feel like I don't look at the cover design. I'm not a person that looks at the cover design. I, if anything, just kind of look at the description that's either on the back side of the book or in the the inside cover of the book. I don't look at the cover design, so I really don't know of which one I would change. The next is totally should have kept the original cover, and I am going to pick the book Looking for Alaska. I know that when that book first came out, when it had the smoke rising from it, there was a big controversy on that, and so John Green had to change the cover in order to make people happy. I totally think he should not have done that. I think he should have stuck to his guns and kept the original cover because it really did a lot for the story. It really symbolized Alaska because she was a heavy smoker. And then finally, the last question is totally should have stopped after one book. And I don't have a book for this because I don't have a series for this because I like pretty much every book series I get into. I really don't have a lot of books that I dislike, so I don't really have any series that I dislike. If I go through a series, that means that I actually really like the series. I'm not gonna continue on with a series that I don't like if there's a book in it I do not like. But again, I mean, with the first book, The Sacred Veil, that's a bit of a different story. That was the last book in the series, and it was just the ending I really didn't like. The rest of the book I really liked. I don't have a series, though, that I thought should have just stopped at one book. Not that I've read, at least. Maybe eventually I'll get to a series where I think they needed to have stopped at one book, but I don't really have that at this point. But thank you guys so much for joining me with this tag. I don't have anyone to tag, so if any of you want to do this tag on your own channels, please do. It is so much fun. I love getting to do these tags, and I'm loving that Becca keeps tagging me in them because they're really fun to do. So yeah, thank you guys so much for joining me. If you like this video, please do give it a big thumbs up, and if you're not already and you'd like to be, hit that button down below and subscribe to become an owlet in our flock, and I will see all of you guys in my next video. Bye guys!